What's up, everyone? Welcome to Joy of the Hobby podcast, episode 11 in Essential Credentials production. Happy Father's Day to everyone out there, all you fathers, all you grandparents, all you soon-to-be fathers, and so forth. Amazing day for us to always remember the two dudes that got us into this hobby, Ben. So, it's a day of appreciation for me, and happy that we got to jump on here. Neither of us are fathers, so that's why we're able to make it on here today. Although you have a dog, so there is that. But welcome everyone. Ben, what's bringing you joy in the hobby lately, dude? Since the last time we did an episode.
Number one, Father's Day, and got to catch up with my dad today. Talk some cards a little bit, say hey to him. But honestly, hockey. Weirdly enough, hockey and getting into not just the cards, but the research of the cards, right? I've been out of the Upper Deck game since they weren't involved in baseball for a long time. So now getting back in, learning the skews of hockey and what other collectors find interesting, why they like those cards. Totally different avenue for me, but really, really fun. And I'm excited to have a, local goalie here that I can root for, collect his cards, and not pay an insane premium like I do with my 90s and early 2000s stuff that I collect. So it's just been a fun journey of picking things up. What's going on? How do I learn about these? I'm just going to pull the trigger on something because it's a couple bucks, and then I'll figure out, oh, that was a good call. Oh, maybe that wasn't a good call, but it's made it really fun again.
Yeah. No, that's awesome, man. And Persh, welcome to the show. Happy Father's Day to you, and hope you're enjoying your weekend. Yeah, it's awesome for me to see you getting into hockey now, because you're kind of going through a little bit of what I was going through when I first discovered hockey, especially when I started with Jocelyn Thibault, which was a great, entry point, because all of his awesome cards are 90s inserts, right? And so I had some familiarity there as I was going through and picking stuff up. But then to go from there to modern hockey and really have that appreciation for the beautiful patches, the patch autos, but also the pretty cool inserts, right? That are also out there. And then you've got a nice callback to the 90s with, your high gloss and your exclusives. And then there's some newer variations on that too. So I'm excited for you to discover, because, I don't want to just give everything away. I'm ready for you to kind of, with Saros, see and discover, wow, I can't believe this card looks this great. It was only $10. All these different things. I'm really excited for you to have those experiences.
And as a 90s collector, it's been really fun to see some of the stuff live on into new sets, or callbacks to old stuff that I know very well from baseball, and then some new ideas that just were never in baseball, and things have never seen before. New sets, new ideas. It's it's a very fun adventure I'm taking. At the same time, I feel like, as you and I have been talking, you've been taking a different adventure, going back in time a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, good segue there. I want to say hi to Luke. Always nice to have you. We were talking about you before the show. Luke, you definitely got to make it in 2 weeks, because you've kind of springboarded the next topic. In a couple of weeks, we're going to have our guest on here who usually watches live too, but he's got Father's Day stuff today. So welcome, Luke, and then Jeff as well. And to Luke and Jeff, happy Father's Day to both of you guys. I hope you enjoyed time with your families and your kids as well. And especially with Luke, I still think about what he was talking about a couple episodes ago, where he was talking about collecting with his daughter and his wife. I just think that's so cool, man. Love that. So like you were saying, kind of going back in time, as I've told Greg and Alan, it's, when you're working within a trading card company, you really have a big appreciation for basic cards. You know what I mean? Cards that you would go on eBay and buy for $5 or less. There's a lot of them printed, but in essence, the same process goes on with the $5 cards, the 99-cent cards, and the $100 to $200 to $500 cards. I mean, a lot of times it's the same process. So if I show, for instance, let's look at a couple A-Rods here. Here's one from Pacific called Pillars of the Game. Really pretty card, right? If this could easily be a $50 card if Mike and his company would have made it 1 out of 360. It's not. It's 3 or 4 per box. But there's Spectrum Deco. You got to figure out the design, all that stuff, right? And then you go to a card like this, which is the EO Portraits. We're all very familiar with those. 1 out of 3 boxes. You can still get these for $5 or $6, which is crazy to me because back in the day, these were $30, $40 cards. And this is all laser die cut in here. Individual little lasers.
It's hard to see there, but for those that don't know, there's like a laser die cut of like the portrait of the person's face, the player's face in there.
You can kind of see Alex there, but like even that is like how much work went into making a $5 card, like super underappreciated, right? And then you work your way into other cards, right, which have crazier technology in them. And so let's look at the favorites of Fenway here for a second. This is from EX.
I still don't have
lights, so I'm not going to do it justice. But you've got different areas that are foiled. But what's really cool is the back of these, man. You can see the foil on the back, you know, which is super unique and super cool. And these were, I think, 1 out of 2 or 1 out of 3 boxes. But again, not that expensive of cards, right? So I think I'm having more fun picking up the 90s inserts now than I've ever had, even back in 16, 17, 18, 19, because I understand the challenges and the successes that you have when you're designing cards. And so I'll finish with this one. This is the Home Run Hysteria. These are very expensive, very rare cards, right? And again, my camera is mirrored, so Alex is not a left-handed hitter. Just want to point that out to everybody. But it's my favorite jersey combination, and it's got this beautiful cutout that's in Spectrum foil, and of course it's numbered to 62, which would be the new record, or would have been the new record. So like I'm having so much fun going after the 90s stuff right now, just like I said, because I appreciate in depth how hard it is and how fun and challenging all these things it is to execute one insert set, let alone, you know, look at this stack. This is all like $10 and under cards of A-Rod. You know what I mean? Like it's just pretty wild to me. So yeah, I'm loving it.
I guess I'd like to double click on that or dive into that more. Coming back to the 90s stuff now, with the appreciation you have and the knowledge you have of working at a card company, how has that changed the way you're searching for 90s or early 2000s cards, right? Because I imagine previously you would just be searching for those big cards, grail cards everyone else kind of looks for if you're familiar with 90s cards, right? And now it seems like you're picking up stuff that just ticks a different box, or it strikes you in a different way because of your knowledge. What kind of knowledge is influencing your decisions now?
Yeah, great question. I mean, there's certain knowledge I can't share necessarily because we got to protect that as far as the process of how cards are built. But I think it's more of thinking about how many decisions are made before a card ever gets printed. You know, you've got the person who builds a set, you've got my boss who has to approve that, and then you've got our boss who has to look at it and feel like it benefits the company. Our boss being the vice president, which is Grant, and he's an amazing person. I highly recommend watching the interview he just did about a month ago in regards to the cup. But
not to interrupt, but benefits the company, meaning you're creating something that's chaseable, that adds value to the product.
From top to bottom, right? Everybody knows there's box filler inserts, but even those have to be fun, right? So every insert to me as a set builder has to be exciting in some way. You know what I mean? And so like I can share an example. This isn't giving much away. There's a set where I did an insert about captains, and they're very important to me, and especially in hockey. Being named a captain in hockey is a huge responsibility. Right. And so think of Crosby, right? Like if I have a captain set and I just have like Crosby sitting there staring off into space, well, who's going to want that? Right. So I have to give the direction to make sure Sid is like interacting with a teammate, right? Or McKinnon is celebrating with a teammate, or McKinnon looks like he's fired up and like some way showing that he's a leader. So like all these little things that go into just the photo, let alone the design, and what the parallels are going to look like, and where the names go, and where the call outs go, and all this stuff. Like so many things are decided way before any of you guys see like a mock-up of a card, right? And so because I appreciate that so much, like I'll just pull out a random card here, right? Why not? This will be fun. Of course, I pull out Topps card. So look, here's a perfect example. Holographics in 99, they did the launchers, right?
Yes.
And it's not going to show off very well, but it has the PMG foil on here. You can kind of see a little bit in there.
And they did the gold and the regular version.
Yep. And so this is the gold. and then I actually have something ending here real soon, but I'll elaborate on this super quick. Every photo is of them hitting a home run, it looks like. And so not only that, but then look like down at the bottom, you can see his feet are covered with the color. Like there's so many little, in the back kind of fades up in here, like
the framing,
the borders and stuff. Like there's so many little things that get decided that many people miss. And so my message to everybody in here, my little PSA is pull out your collection of your cards that are in binders, right? That's where these are all going to go. And spend a few minutes looking at the intricate details. You know what I mean? Because like that is something that's going to be missed by many people. And something that I would highly recommend. Well, didn't win. Bummer. I highly recommend you do that because it'll make you appreciate the little cards way, way more. And that's allowed me to appreciate, a variety of these A-Rods behind me, all the way to something as simple as a Metal Universe Platinum Parallel, right? So, yeah, thanks for letting me get on my pedestal there for a minute.
Well, I actually could almost piggyback on that and say, as cards grow in popularity, I think people will tend to search for things that are affordable. And I think there's almost some like what I would call intangibles you see in some cards that people don't recognize right away, but over time they become popular. Maybe harkening back to like the 90s, like the 97, the Clout that I showed off, right? The Clout Museum Collection. Actually, I think I still have that sitting here because I haven't logged it yet. But like, this wasn't necessarily like a super desirable card for a long time. The Griffey is now the one that people chase, but this wasn't anything special. This is just a subset of the base set. So it's just as rare as the base set. Nothing spectacular, but the design and the way they put the foil in there and the way they totally masked the background became desirable over 20 years it took.
That's crazy.
Become really desirable, right?
Yeah.
But it's that little intangible in the design that you're like, I don't know why I like this, but I know I like it. It looks really good.
Nice.
I don't know what it is, and maybe it's not expensive now, but it could be in the future. And I just keeping an eye out for those things that you just like because they look good. I think long term do pay off.
For sure.
The more people look at it and they find it and they see it, someone else posts it and they go, "Huh, I want that." Oh, now this other guy wants it. Well, now there's demand for it.
Right. Kind of weird to think like just how that happens. But I think if you were to put 100 of the most knowledgeable 90s collectors in our office, or tops, fine, I'll say it. I mean, they have to print cards the same way essentially, and they were to see just the depth of detail that goes into every single card, even the base set, right? Because you have to think it's going to parallel, right? So you want it to parallel well and want the colors to change well and have different effects going on with the foils. I think that would allow some of these cards that you see that are, going for so little, probably go for a lot more. We've talked about that liquid gold McDavid a couple times now that went for $1,000. I mean, that is, I'm not going to say it's not crazy hard to do because it is in a way, but it's just a different paper, right? It's a different paper with a cool die cut that nobody's ever seen before. So it's new. But when you think the complexity compared to any of the cards I've shown today, it's just a step up, right? So anyway, I guess it's really allowed me to appreciate cards a lot more. I'm not buying a ton of A-Rods currently, but when I do buy some, I like buying them in groups of like some of those like $5 to $10 cards, because there's actually a lot of really cool cards out there that I enjoy that don't necessarily have to be the PMGs from 98, which of course is going to cost a fortune.
But you can like appreciate in a different way, right?
Oh, for sure.
And
I mean, yeah.
I had to pull this out. So Matt sent me a couple cards, and because he showed the Home Run Hysteria, I have to show this one because this really harkens back to those 90s SPX cards. The inset SPX emblem in there with the finite looks so nice. I mean, you hockey collectors, I didn't know how spoiled you were that you guys still had access to something like this, but I mean, this card is so well manufactured, looks so nice. At a 99, the foil pops, the inset's great. Like, there's nothing to complain about with this card. Like, everything about this card looks great. And it's actually something I just need to pull it up one more time, Matt. But one thing that I really, really like about cards like this, and especially in a horizontal, is an action shot and then like a profile shot.
Yeah.
I also get on the card. So I get like 2 views of the player, plus a cool inset, plus the foil, plus it's numbered. I mean, guys, killing it. Like,
I mean, I got to give Billy a shout
stuff.
out for sure. On my team, you know, he envisioned it looking like that. And similarly to, you know, SPX from 98, there were those horizontal cards that had the 2 pictures in there, right? And I think you don't see it a lot because, contrary to belief, you know, you got to pay for photos on cards. So you got a cost for a photo on the right and a new photo on the left. And even if the one on the right was used on the base card, which you wouldn't want to do on an insert because that would be noticeable and dumb, but you know, you are going to ruin the card. So you have to put a lot of thought and money essentially into creating just the base of that. And then you get to the parallel that you're holding, and now you're like, wow, this is great. And for how little those go for, the ones out of 99 are very, very tough to come by. Yeah,
it's crazy. They're gorgeous cards for the price. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. I'm gonna let Persh know, big hockey guy. Go look it up. Extended SPX finite Spectrum. Is that the Spectrum or the Radiance that you got there?
This is the Spectrum that I have.
Yeah. Of Sidney Crosby. Yeah, definitely worth grabbing, dude. And I bet you can get one for $30 or $40 or maybe less. So you know, you're a big Crosby guy. But yeah, dude, that's it's been really fun. I mean, I've bought probably 2 flurries in the last month, maybe 3. Well, 3 if you include the one last night. But it was a rookie that I've been after forever. So that was pretty exciting. But I found you know, arguably one of the more popular base parallels is the high gloss. So I was able to get his
nice.
high gloss from Extended, and it's his last active high gloss that's ever going to be made. So that's pretty cool. You know, I think when you're, you know, for me, I've gotten very, very specific on what I'm going after. And it's a beautiful horizontal picture of him down in his stance. It's got the awesome Spectrum foil on there, even on the logo, which makes me really happy. The editing on the photo is interesting because they really pop the white out. They turn the exposure up a little bit on his pads. But you know what? I'm happy because I still have not found the high gloss from last year. Series 1, I think it was. I've yet to see a high gloss of 23-24. I don't know. Who knows, man? But it'll be a fun chase when I do find it. It'll be like that card that exists, but I've never seen it. Kind of like Greg's, what is it? The one from Collector's Choice, the Prime Choice Reserve.
Prime Choice, yep.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate you, man. So, yeah, you're getting into hockey. I'm grabbing some A-Rods. Honestly, it's been great because I'm going to segue into our goals. You know, we wanted to be really specific with what we were picking up. I think we both share that. As I was going back and looking through our goals, you've had a chance to do the same, right? Kind of look through and like currently right now, including a tough stuff from 99 or 2000, excuse me, because I just wanted to kind of see where the prices are at. I've only got 4 cards coming in, and 2 of them I bought yesterday of A-Rod. So it's been really nice to have so few coming in, because when a card does come in, you know, I get it, I go photograph it, I put it on the Essential Credentials Instagram page. Yep. And I've had some really, really nice interactions on there lately. And I think it's nice to kind of dive back into, you know, really what got me started with this. But again, it feels much better because I'm buying a lot less. And I know you're getting into hockey and all that. And before we look at the goals here, even though you're buying hockey kind of in this little bubble, like, yay, of excitement, you know, do you feel like you're eventually going to kind of get into a more of like a focused mindset like you've had for the last few months?
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it, that I'm just entering the space. So I'm having fun kind of exploring it. And I imagine as I kind of feel out the Upper Deck products, I'll end up just scoping out on kind of exactly what I'm liking from the products and what I want to chase with Saros. But for now, it's sort of like an exploratory period, which is different from, I haven't had a period like that where I've explored for a decade.
That's awesome.
Really, because I've been in baseball and like I know everything baseball, like the history of the cards. Like, you know, that I collect like even back to pre-war vintage. So for me, there hasn't been like a new thing in baseball. and really when new baseball products come out, they kind of, well, we can knock tops, but they
Yeah.
follow the same pattern every year, so you kind of know what you're getting into. There's
Yep.
nothing you don't. There's no research involved, really. You
Right.
kind of know, oh, they're doing this release, got it. Okay, it's going to be this, this, this. I'm kind of looking for my guy on this. Oh, maybe there's a new case hit that I want to look for.
For
Maybe
sure.
once every 2 years, one comes along that I'm like, I'm interested in that one.
Yeah.
But this is like a totally new lane for me. So for now, it's like I'm finding things that are interesting, that are fun, that I don't even sometimes I don't even know what they are. I just like the way they look. And I just
Mhm.
buy it because it's $3-4.
Yeah.
I like
Right.
the way it looks, I like the design, I like the picture, whatever, and I'm just buying it.
Mhm.
And part of the reason I think I was trying to really scale back on the number of cards I was purchasing was because the cards and the players I like to chase for my PC have gotten very expensive. So you
I
just
see.
can't keep moving at the pace I was in 2018, right?
Right.
It's just things have changed. You have to slow down a little bit.
Mhm.
And this gives me the new avenue to like just buy some things for fun, kind of feel them out, learn the products, do something sort of different with the collecting.
Right.
That also allows me to use the box you sent me. I
Yeah,
mean,
dude.
it's got the blue siding. Hockey cards have to go in there.
Oh, so is that where you're putting all the hockey cards? Is that what that's gonna
They're
be for?
going in there, man. Yeah, at least one sleeve of that
One
thing is
row?
going to be just
Right.
straight hockey. So it's just been something like fun. I would say like low stakes. And when I look back at my goals before I throw it back to you,
Mhm.
everything I put in my goals was like very high stakes, like high pressure in a way.
Okay.
Um, I don't know if that was just the looking back now, just the cost of the cards and feeling like, oh, I need to be scaling up to like only really big purchases. You might maybe only get like 1 or 2 cards a month, and they're really big, and it's the pressure to find those and just get those two, and like not
Yeah.
have fun. And at the time, I thought that's a good way to scale back and really enjoy the 2 big cards that come in that month,
Mhm.
and
Right.
that would be fun. I think that sort of loses sight of the just getting some cards in. They're only a couple bucks and really enjoying like the learning about the cards. Like I
Right.
think I almost like lost sight of that because I didn't really have a new avenue. So
Oh, interesting.
I'm appreciating the new avenue because it's just something totally different for me with hockey, the sport, and the upper deck cards that I
Right.
haven't seen in a long time.
For sure. No, I think that's awesome, man. I think we're always looking for that spark somehow, whether it's like, I think I was talking with Bernard, and he was talking about how he's got, vintage. He's going after some vintage boxing right now, and then he's going to grab an Iserman, and then he's going to maybe look at a baseball card. And I feel like the people that I see that are enjoying themselves the most in the hobby are people who have a variety of avenues to go enjoy cards in, whether it's okay, football season starting again. Let's go look at some Justin Jefferson cards, or baseball season starting up. Let's go maybe look and see if there's a new case hit out there that I missed of, Lindor or somebody else in the Mariners who I won't name because he can't hit, regardless of the fact he's a superstar. But then you go into hockey, right? It's like, oh, sweet, maybe I want to look and see. I want before I was at Upper Deck, like what other new little cool inserts, Easter eggs are out there. Like there's always something to look for when you have a variety of avenues. Do you feel like the majority of the people that you notice that are enjoying themselves the most have that in common for the most part?
Yes, and we have a friend in common, Greg, that does that
Yeah,
very
of course.
well.
Yeah.
They can jump around a little bit. And I think maybe this is something I needed because I was putting a little pressure on myself to like only be grabbing a certain caliber of card at this point for myself, which was like an unnecessary standard. And I guess the other thing I would say is one of my goals was like buy less cards per month. But really, if I'm looking back at that, it was actually like a budget constraint because of the caliber of card I was looking for. So it's almost like I was putting myself in like a box of like, okay, I'm only chasing like these kinds of cards because that's the only kind of card I would enjoy.
Right.
And so that's about my budget. So I'm just going to spend less on cards and get less cards in because that's now the box I'm putting myself in. I don't think I realized I was doing that at the time, that I was boxing my collection a little bit. And by doing that, I realized maybe about April-ish that it was like a little less fun. Like I was excited for the cards I was getting in, but it was becoming like just a little less fun to do that. to be
Right.
so stringent. It's like I was putting
Interesting.
rules on my hobby.
Yeah, I mean, if it's interesting if we would have said spend X amount of dollars. Well, that could have opened up the door to you buy $100 cards or you buy $100 cards. You know, it's like if you're within a budget, but you can kind of have a little flexibility or a lot of flexibility with that, or you sell something for 50, now you've got $50 extra.
Mhm.
I think Will kind of approaches it that way, right? He's got a certain
Yeah.
budget and he kind of looks at.
And I think it's a bit of both, right? Like I don't want to say, oh, well, it should only be budget and then just buy whatever. Like
Right.
I think there is a bit of both. And I think we came into the year like with the right intention, or I will say
Mhm.
I came into the year with the right intention of like be very intentional about the dollars you're spending and be
Yeah.
focused on these are the cards you're really looking for, that this is just the list you're searching for. But it becomes a little bit too much of a grind that way. Like you almost
Mhm.
need to have a little bit of more flexibility. And I think I was allowing myself at the beginning of the year.
Right, that's interesting. Well, we'll have to update that. I do want to show what Luke said, and then I've got a question for. We've got 5 people here on Father's Day. That's not too bad.
Nice.
So Luke's grabbed 30 new Beckett's from the 90s. Yep, I'm with you, man. I've really been enjoying. I actually showed it already, but I picked up a few episodes. Almost said a few, and I could find them brand new for like $5. Issues of Sports. It's funny, it's backwards. Sports Cards magazine, and one of my favorite things about them is the old top 10 visual list here. So you can see like the top 10 list from 2000? No, 99. You'll see some familiar cards on there, right? Piece of history,
Oh,
the
nice.
Griffey
Yep.
rookie, the Jeter rookie, right? So that, but then you go look at the prices, and I like that all the case hits vary in price based upon popularity. Like they were clearly doing their research, and that's what I really appreciated. So yeah, I'm excited to get that tough stuff in and look through. And it's funny. My boss, the vice president of our company, Grant, used to come up with the prices in Beckett, and I wanted to bring him on the Essential Credentials and talk about his theory behind the prices. Because like if you look at like Motherlode and Diamond Immortals and Diamond Producers, what's up, Brent? You'll see that they all are priced the same way because the odds are the same, 1 in 360 or 1 in 288.
Yep.
Well, then he said, well, okay, well, if that's the odds, we're just going to call them this price. Well, that doesn't necessarily ring true. Like a Diamond Immortals will sell for 20% more than a Diamond Producers, but they're priced the same way. So whatever, I'll just leave that alone. But yeah, it's cool to see the differences. I really enjoyed that too, because certain cards in this stack here, are actually back in the day were $10, $20, $30 cards, not to mention, the select artist proof A-Rod that I put on my write-up for end of the month write-up. They used to be $150 card, man. It's crazy. So yeah,
I will say that for those that collect cards from a couple decades ago, like getting an old Beckett and looking through it and seeing which ones they got right and which ones they got wrong on like hot lists or super collectible. I could even see on that when you pulled open that page. Some I was like, that card is not, no one's buying that card anymore. And some of them I was like, that's a big card. Like the Piece of History, I think, was on there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Ovation. Yeah.
Very collectible and hard to find and very desirable. So it's just fun to see like which ones they were like, yeah, totally go after this. They just fizzled out, right?
Yeah.
Some that just became like heavy hitters in the hobby.
Yeah. No, for sure, dude. Well, before I show our goals here, I got a question for everybody in the chat. And that question is there a goal this year that you have changed? Because if you think about some goals that you had at the beginning of the year, whether it was a card on your want list that's now been replaced, or whether it's maybe a type of card that you're buying or a player you're collecting, have you made any changes to your goals throughout the year? Because I'm sure some of you kind of, I don't want to say like took after what we did here, but I think everybody during that episode was commenting on some different goals for themselves. And I'm kind of curious if people have stuck to those goals or if they've changed a little bit. Let me go ahead and share the screen here. So I'm just going to go through some of, or from everything we wrote down, and then we're going to kind of go through where things are the same and maybe where we want to make some changes. So we'll start with Ben here. Ben, your first goal was to log every single card that comes in, log it into Card Ladder. Have you done that so far this year?
Everything new that's come in.
Yep.
I've logged. for my collection. So I've been very vigilant about that, and that's only been possible because I've gotten less cards. I'll caveat that I've not logged any of the hockey stuff yet.
Well, I'm going to put a check mark here because until then you were definitely doing that. So that's
yeah, because I want to figure out if I want to split that into like a separate login collection
okay.
or split the collection. I'm not sure if they allow me to do that. So I've kind of been keeping those off to the side.
Okay. I'm going to put all but hockey on that.
And then I'll say I'm like 30% done with backlogging all of my stuff that I have in my current collection into Card Ladder. So I've been pretty good about doing this one.
Okay.
Not a fun collectible collecting thing, but like a necessary one for me to be like up to date with keeping up with everything I have.
For sure. Oh, cool. No, that's important to do. 100%, man. And which I've definitely gotten behind. So I'll definitely spend, an evening or weekend. I'm probably going to take more than that going through everything. So next up, your second goal. And again, this is for the year. So we're at the halfway point. So let's say 2 or 3. Have you grabbed 2 or 3 case hits from Topps yet this year?
Just the one. Just the one so far. So I'm behind on this one.
Well, I mean, you still got some time on that one. So that's good. Got to give yourself. Pristine still hasn't come out. So we'll have to see what they come up with for that.
Yeah. And they have had some come out this year. I just want to wait a little bit for the hype to die down before I grab them. They've come up with a few that, okay, I would go after that.
Okay. Gotcha. I do want to say we'll get to, so when I'm done with Ben's goals here, I'll go through. We've got some comments to go through. So next up was to buy a 1952 Willie Mays low grade with no crease. Where are you on that?
I'm not really happy with this search.
Okay.
I would say the pricing is way higher for eye appeal than I was expecting this year. And I think another way to put that would be, I think I did this one too early. I think the prices are going to go down in like a year or two because I think the market's going to be flooded more with the people that currently own them. No knock on the age of the collectors that own a lot of these that have the eye appeal I would like.
Right.
But I think I jumped the gun on this one.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's the thing. Like sometimes goals need to be adjusted. So I have a pretty good idea what might replace that goal. Do you want me to skip the archive reserve tribute auto? Are you still planning on grading that, or is that something that'll go?
It's actually out to SGC right now.
Okay, sweet.
They are way behind on grading. So folks out there that might be considering grading with them, they're really behind.
Still waiting. Okay, great.
Yeah, I think it's been like over 40 days with them sitting.
Well, hopefully they give you they treat you well on that one.
I know. I just need the 10 auto grade. That's all I need. That's all I wanted.
I'm sure you'll get that for sure, dude. All right. Next up, more active on. Oh, look at the typo from the former teacher. More active on social media 2 times per week, and be more active in Facebook groups that I'm in. How's that been going for you?
Social, way behind on that. Apologize to anyone that actually clicks on mine. Way behind on Instagram. Facebook groups, I'm reconsidering the strategy there because, and we've talked about this a little bit, I feel a little disconnected from the groups that I'm in. I enjoy seeing, and I am making an effort to like leave comments on posts that I want to congratulate or say something additional outside of just liking a post, right? Or throwing a heart on there or whatever. But I'll say Instagram, I'm better about leaving comments.
Okay.
Facebook, I'm not feeling particularly stoked about being in a group right now.
Okay.
Any one particular one. And maybe there's a hockey one where I would just connect more with the people in there. But as you know, as groups grow, you lose a little bit of that community aspect.
Right.
Because of the size. So I don't know. That's what I'd like to circle back to and figure out how to address that one in a different way.
Well, it is tricky too because, personal stuff always comes up and work stuff comes up. And so you've got a trip last minute. You've got people calling in sick from work. So you're in charge of making sure all that stuff gets done. Or, you get real busy at work, and prioritizing time for social media especially groups, and being active in there can be really tricky. It's, we were during COVID times, we all had a lot of time on our hands, and we felt like that ended up becoming the norm, and it ended up not. And
Right.
so, there is that. I'll give you that. That one has been tricky, I think, for a lot of people. So I don't think you're alone in that. But as far as this last one goes, how are you feeling about every edition should have a story?
That one, I feel like I'm crushing this year, actually. Like, I'm getting stuff from you that I really appreciate. I mean, literally everything from hockey now has some sort of story tied to me finding the player through you, then getting recommendations from people on the podcast. Yeah, almost every card I've gotten in this year has been tied to like a story or a person or finding a seller through somebody else and like getting it offline in some way. That one I've been really true to that one, like really making sure if I find something or I'm looking for something, I really try to find the best way to get it and make a connection with someone to get that card.
Awesome, dude. That's great. No, I mean, I think overall, when you're looking at goals like this, you're not going to be 100%, right? Unless you're a super regimented person in your own life, whether it's like, whether it's a diet or exercise routine or sleep schedule. Like if you're one of those people, then you'll be 100%. But, you're kind of, you and I are both guys that collect with emotion, right? And I think when you're like that, you're what is it? The nostalgia really drives what you're doing, and like the peaks and valleys, you want more of those peaks. You're going to have some diversions and things like that. So
it's part of evolving as a collector too, right? Like
for sure.
you set goals so we can do something like this and reflect back and go, okay, how did I evolve or change? It's not necessarily you're missing a goal. It's that you pivoted or changed or evolved in a different way. It's not like a bad thing. It's just
for sure.
What did I think I was going to do and what's happening now? We're checking in.
For sure, man. I'm going to hide this for just a minute so I can get to some comments here. Earlier, I asked the chat, like, what's a goal that you've changed or a goal that is no longer on your goals list or in your head? So here's some of the answers we got. So from Persh, I'm going to actually let you handle these, dude. So go for it. We've got Persh first.
I've stuck to it so far. Haven't been buying a ton. A few select PC cards now and then. I'd love to know more about like what specifically. How are you being picky to keep it limited?
Especially because he's a box breaker too, so you've got to put money aside to do that, and that definitely kind of limits you when you're going off and picking up a ton of stuff. But I've seen his account; he's grabbing some sweet stuff. Not gonna lie. Next up is Doug, my good friend. What's Doug?
Oh yeah. Goals of the year have changed a lot since those break cup update cards released last week. Yeah, when something like that happens, everything changes.
Oh my goodness, especially with the prices that
Doug if it's an expensive release and you're a player and you're like, okay, all right.
Yeah, for sure. By the way, if you don't follow Doug, Russian Rocket Collector on Instagram, he might do a better job of anyone appreciating what he already has. He's constantly posting stuff in his stories, telling people about past buybacks and past inserts and voting. Like, Doug sets the bar for appreciating what's already in his collection because he only picks up a half a dozen to a dozen cards a year. That is like the blueprint if you're not buying much anymore. So thanks for setting that example, Doug. Next up is our good friend Luke. What did he have to say?
My goal is to enjoy my collection. My direction to achieving it changes on a daily basis depending on what comes up for sale. I relate more and more to that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, again, something might pique your interest that's new, right? So I think that it's good to always keep that in mind. This is a really interesting take from Brent.
Okay, so Brent ditched hobby goals a while back. It seemed to lead to disappointment while I miss out on a rare one. I have to just be easier on myself and take what comes when the funds are there, which I think is a really good point. And I would say to that, I think what Matt and I were trying to do by setting up goals wasn't to be strict necessarily, but to set like a benchmark or here's where I'm at right now and what I would like to maybe see happen. And who knows what's going to happen in the next 6 months or year. These are year-long goals. But it would be cool if these things happened. And I'm not going to be frustrated or upset if they don't. or ignore things that might come my way or show up that I'm really excited about because I have these other goals.
Yep. No, 100%. I think it was more of here are some guidelines that we both like to stick to. And yeah, we might divert a little bit, but I think those guidelines are like ground zero and you want to get back to that. If you start feeling like you're going a little bit too far, like, okay, I've gotten 3 cards in the mail in 2 days. Like this, am I really sticking to what is going to make me happy? Or am I just buying to, get that, what is it? Is it serotonin? Is I got it right? Whatever it is in our brain now.
Yeah.
Just, wow, that was amazing. Oh man, now it's here. Now I'm disappointed again. So I think it was more of that, right? As opposed to being super strict.
Yeah. It was more about, putting something out there so that you feel like you're collecting with intention. And if that changes direction, make sure you're like evaluating and making sure you're changing direction with intention, right?
Right.
Like you're not just going and buying A-Rods now because I don't know what I'm doing with my cards, so I'm just going to go buy A-Rods now.
Right.
Like you actively decided to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I actively decided I want to get into hobby and explore upper deck products and find a player and take this seriously. Like it's not on a whim, I'm just going to start doing this now because I want to get cards in the mail.
No, for sure.
It's an active change in goals, not just a passive, like, I'm just buying cards. I think that was really the overall intention of the exercise, right?
And it's a very scary place to be in. When I first moved here, I was going through my own stuff and I was using it to kind of distract me, and it wasn't good. So I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm trying to recover from that.
That's the point, right? It's not like... It's to be intentional and not to be like a passive about I'm just going to be scrolling through eBay and just buying stuff.
Yep, 100%.
Am I passively collecting or actively collecting things that I know I'm looking for and I know something about or want to explore?
Yep, 100%, dude. I've got a great example for that for later as well. Our last comment that someone shared about like what kind of goals they've had that have changed or evolved. This is from Sports Card Corey or Sports Guy Corey. My apologies.
Oh yeah, I've been doing my best to engage more with other collectors, especially on IG.
That's great.
I think I actually have a message from Sports Guy Corey that I did not respond to yet. I just saw it this morning. So
Corey, if you could,
for me later.
Yeah. Thanks for that. I'm excited to hear what you guys are talking about. Corey, if you could go, my handle is in my name here, and if you could make sure that you follow both of us, that'd be great because it'd be nice to be able to interact with you a little bit. Because you were on our last episode too. We really appreciate that. Sweet. Well, why don't we, we're going to take a look at what I set, and I'll just kind of real quick share how it's going, and then we can make some changes. Does that sound good?
Yep.
Okay. So any Marc-Andre Fleury cards that I buy need to be display case worthy. Yes. I feel like I've been crushing it here, man. I rarely buy a card unless, if it's an auto, which I rarely buy autographs anymore. I can't remember the last time I bought a Fleury autograph. All the cards that I bought end up in the case and I replace it with something else, or I move whatever's in there out. I've got like the glove, the high gloss. I'm trying to think of what else I put in there lately.
I know you've been very strict on this one.
Yeah, the PMG green. I feel like there was another relic of some kind. But honestly, I look over there and since the beginning of the year, everything I've purchased it goes in there unless it has an auto, which I think I've bought maybe 2 autos since the beginning of the year, maybe 3.
How many did you buy last year?
Yeah. No,
so there we go.
Yeah, is display case worthy. And what's interesting is now that the cup has come out, I still haven't bought anything from it. There's he's got a lot of cool stuff in there, man. I'll admit he really does. But I already have so many autographs. It's not just the patch auto, but to me, I'm spoiled. I think I've got so many wonderful patch autos of him that I've been more leaning towards the non-auto, non-men stuff lately, and that's probably where I'll stay from here on out.
Yeah.
On average, 5 or less PC cards a month. I'm going to say before switching. Well, even now, I'm not. Yeah, I know. I'll say other than May. I've been close to this, if not less. Like right now, Yeah.
That should have been one of mine as well, because we were on the same page of like reducing the PC cards, and I feel like I've been in that same page. So that should be something
Well,
I should add to my list, is stay on that 5 or less.
for sure. So as far as an essential credentials, I'm going to put an and here. So I missed out on an essential credentials on release day, and it was mislabeled. And I know Kendall bought it. Good to him. I would have done the same thing. I went to click the buy it now, and it was gone.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to say, because it hasn't come up listed correctly, I'm going to say neither of these have shown up for auction yet. It's going to be a while because the proxies were severely overpriced because they were so expensive to build.
Okay.
So actually, this is going to be red because it hasn't shown up. Post on the blog. So I'm going to say we both started off strong and have been slacking.
Yes.
Hardcore.
Hardcore slacking or saving a lot of drafts. And
yeah, exactly. I'm going to go orange on this. I think that's fair. So I think I wanted to touch on this real quick. You know, we have such wonderful conversations in between episodes, and on Sundays we usually meet. This time we're going to be able to meet in person next weekend. Can't wait. And after that, we're going to have some fun together for sure. But, you know, I think it's interesting because I'm looking right now, and as I saw this goal, I'm like, I can write about that. I can write about that. And I can write about that. You know, but it's like making sure we go and do it. So this is a good reminder, I think, for both of us that despite
I think that's a good,
busy,
this is a goal I definitely want to continue, and it's a push goal. And yeah, that's just me being, I could sit here and I'm looking at some different Saros cards. And I'm like, I could write about just that one.
Right.
Like easily. It's just a matter of, again, taking time, like carving out time to do it, making sure like work and some other stuff doesn't get in the way.
For sure. And you got to prioritize those things. I've had a very busy month overall, last 30 days. It's, you know, my workload's gone up, and I love that. But I can't wait to kind of be in a slower period where I can take like a Friday afternoon at work and maybe, you know, start typing up something and then add the picture when I get home. I think that's probably the route I need to go because I have some downtime. Like at lunch, I can just pull it up, type up something fun. So we have one more comment that is super in depth. So I'm glad that got added to our comment list.
There he is. You know,
the man himself. Happy Father's Day, David.
He's busy watching the Dodgers game, so he's just late to join because of that.
Nice. Well, what I thought we'd do now, kind of last 15, 20 minutes, is let's look at our goals and let's see if we want to keep something or we want to remove it or change it or add something. So do you want to keep this log every single card that comes in goal?
That's got to stay. Yeah, because I want that to be like a habit that just stays for the year and then just becomes automatic.
Okay, great. Actually, you know what? I'm going to format this differently. I was probably going to do it wrong, so I'm just going to leave that there. Okay, so that one's staying. Pick up 5 or 6 tops case hit inserts this year. Do you want to keep that? Because even though you still got 4 or 5 left, you have one. Do you want to change this at all, or?
Put it to just 5.
Okay.
Instead of 5 or 6, I'm going to put it on just 5.
Well, actually, let's do 4 because you've already got 1, right?
That's true. Okay, let's be realistic. That's true.
Okay. So I'm gonna say Ben. Let's see at halfway point. Okay. Cool. So you want to get rid of the Willie Mays goal?
Yeah, I hate to, because I do really want that card, but I'm realizing this is not the year to do it.
Okay.
It's just the wrong time. It's still on it's like a bucket list thing. I just put it on the wrong year.
Okay. What did you want to replace that goal with?
Maybe not as big of a card, but I do want a 10 graded Saros Young Guns.
A UC Saros Young Guns PSA 10 base rookie. Okay.
Yep.
Right.
Surprisingly, not as many 10s out there as you would think.
Yeah, we didn't print nearly as many you would think, right? Like I can't confirm or deny that, but it's pretty simple to say that we make more product now than we used to. So that kind of leads to that. Do you want me to remove the archive reserve one off here since it's currently being graded?
Yeah, because that one's going to be done.
Okay. I have a suggestion for you to add something. This is my only suggestion because I would love to see what you come up with. Can I, what do you think about this? Create a top 10 through 25 most wanted Staros cards.
Oh, see, that would just be a fun exercise. So yeah.
Okay, you leave that? Okay.
Yep.
I would love to see what cards end up on there because what cards you appreciate might be different than Perch or me or, Luke. They're all going to be different for hockey. So that'll be really cool.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
What do you want to do with this social media goal? Do you want to modify or change it or remove it? Or what do you think?
Keep 2 posts per week, but specify Instagram. Okay. I need to get back on that. And then instead of and then put find 2 new Facebook groups. So one will probably be a hockey group that I can be involved in. And then I would like to find another baseball group that I think I feel like I could post in more, like have more of a connection with. I feel like I've lost a little connection with some of the ones I've been in for a long time.
Okay. I have an idea for this, but I'm going to spring it on you after the show.
Okay.
I don't know if it's worth mentioning yet, but I have an idea here. Okay, cool.
Every edition should have a story. You could remove that. I think I'm like right on that track right now.
Okay. Good.
That was more like put this in my head to do that this year.
Yeah, for sure.
I've done it enough now that I feel like that's just kind of in the back of my mind every time now.
Okay, great. And then Corey, I'm going to get to that comment there in just a minute. Any other goals or anything you'd like to add for the rest of the year?
Yeah, and I think I had this on my personal list that I removed before we talked when we started doing this. And it's kind of vague, but it's good enough for me to know because I kind of know the list of cards that I want to pick up from this group. But add 1 significant pre-war vintage baseball card. I have a few in my head that I've kind of thought about, and I've watched a couple of them. But I want to add one new awesome one this year.
Okay. Great. Before the end of the year. All right.
Yep.
Sweet.
Could be at the National.
Ooh. Okay. Sweet, man. All right. Sweet. There we go. I will leave those on there. Before I get to mine, I'm going to take a look at what Corey had to say here. So Corey said, go ahead, Ben. Yeah. What did Corey share about last episode?
Oh, yeah. Last week we asked about goals, and I said mine was actually list cards on eBay. I listed my full free allotment of 250 cards and already sold over 20.
Yeah, sold over 20. Yep. Sweet.
That's huge. Listing 250. All right, you're basically running a little business there when you list that many. You get into the printing labels, getting everything packaged.
Oh yeah, I went through that this last weekend. I listed some SGA cards, and they ended right as they were winning game 2. So I timed that well. Yeah, I kind of broke even. A couple sold higher, a couple sold lower. Usually at auction, it's cool though because auction really is like where's the market on these cards. So that's cool.
But that also means you got to rent the cards for free, right? You owned them for nothing.
Yeah, exactly. I love that. I love that. Since that guy was on Jeremy's show, I wish I could say who it was. I can't remember. But he talked about it's just basically a renting fee. If you end up selling them, you get a little bit less, a little bit more. Like that's the fee that you paid to have it for a bit. So great. All right. Well, I'm going to get to mine super quick here. Let's go and take a quick peek. See if we're going to change anything.
What you're going to add.
I'm going to keep this on here, but just as a reminder, like this is going really well. Yes. This will be, by the time this year is over, I think this will be like just a permanent staple of how I buy cards of his. On average, 5 or less. So here's a question. Like now that I feel like A-Rod is more of like a 1A PC. Like he's a side PC, but like that is now my main focus right now. Like, as much as I love grabbing Fleury cards, and he's going to have some cool ones here and there for a while at least. I feel like A-Rod is the primary focus and what brings me the most joy currently. Again, because when I go and have these meetings with Jean McLeod, and she's the one that designed all those amazing Fleer cards with her husband, her late husband, I get super jazzed about them. And I don't get to have those conversations. I wish I got to. I wish I could sit down with people who make all these amazing Fleury cards, but they're both so busy they don't have time to sit there and talk about a cool card for 5 minutes, which was a bummer. But so I think that right now is like my second main PC. But I think I can still stick to this, right? Because on average, I'd say that I can stick to this. But there's going to be a couple times where like sellers have 10 or 15 cards that are like $5 or less. That are those like inserts. So then does that count? So yeah,
I would suggest maybe changing this one and adding a second bullet point, in some way modifying this to include the A-Rod thing. So I would say there should be, first of all, maybe a second bullet point that's every A-Rod added should have like a design or reason for adding that specific card. Because you don't know how many are going to show up, and A-Rod stuff sometimes just shows up in waves of 30 cards.
Have a specific reason. Okay.
Yeah.
I love that.
Kind of back to what I say, like everyone should have a story. For you, everyone should have like a design reason, because you're involved with the people that made some of those cards. Like almost it should be a story for you why you wanted to pick up that $3 A-Rod.
For sure. Okay. That's great. Thanks for that help on that one. Well, I'm going to keep the Marc-Andre Eccentric Credentials and Eccentric Credentials Gold. I'm going to add a top 5 A-Rod. Actually, I'm going to say top 3 A-Rod want list card before December 31st. Yeah, that's a good one.
Can you add a sub bullet point? Make a list of the top 3.
Oh, I think I'm going to go further than that. Make like yours. I'm going to say make a top 10 to 25 want list.
Yeah, because you have to have that list to hold you accountable to that one. You have to have a list so we can say, okay, you did grab one. You can't grab a card and go, oh, this was on my top 3. Yeah,
I agree. I think that's important. And I'm going to keep this. I'm going to highlight this because we need to do better.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, that's where I'm at. Any suggestions of anything else to add, or is that looking pretty good?
I think this is looking pretty good. I think this is a really good exercise. It's fun, a little bit like I got a little anxiety on it because I was like, how far have I gone off path here? But I think I have in some way, but in a way that was like has been really fun so far. So I've enjoyed deviating a little bit. And it hasn't been at the expense of me feeling stressed about anything, right? I think that's maybe the biggest takeaway is I've deviated, but it hasn't been stressful. Because
that's important. Then.
It's actually been more fun. That way. Yeah, I deviated, and it's made it more fun.
Awesome. Well, that's good. I'm glad that obviously the most important thing is like the main focus of this podcast is to make sure people are out there enjoying this hobby. There's so many reasons that you can dive into, especially in this culture, to be negative about this hobby. And I have my moments as a person who builds these sets and my frustrations, but I want to really love collecting. And right now I can say that my joy for the hobby is in one of the better places that's ever been, as far as like just being responsible and not willy-nilly going for stuff and being very, very specific on what I buy and why I buy it. It's probably the first time I've been this strict, but in a good way. How are you feeling like, from the beginning of the year to now? Do you feel like, the joy for this hobby is where it was? Do you think it's a little bit higher? Do you think it's a little bit lower? Like, where are you feeling about that as opposed to when we started this whole podcast?
Yeah, I mean, that's the most important mid-year check-in, right? Mm-hmm. Do I feel like this has made it more fun? Like, I would say almost 1,000%.
Nice.
Like both doing the podcast plus having like a new outlet and being able to talk about the cards with other people and getting really the comments and getting to talk to other people. Like,
right.
interviewing and just checking in with other collectors has been so much fun. I will say, really, one of the most fun points I've had is getting into hockey and like having people suggest cards,
Yeah,
like
that was
going and
cool.
doing the research of cards. So like if I could a little bit dig into that, because I was able to find some. So for example, like, and I know you're a little jealous of one of these, but
Ah,
I was able to grab both of these. So
so
the
sick.
Parkhurst, the red out of 51, and the black out of 10.
Yeah,
But
dude.
of course, for my dude, the black just looks so nice.
Yep.
It's just
It's dope.
perfect color contrast, looks fantastic. But I also love the red with the red lettering and just how that
Yeah.
pops. Like they both just look so like these are fantastic parallels. Like the design on this year is really, really good.
Beautiful. Yeah. And actually,
Fantastic
great
look.
little segue. Parkhurst is coming out on Wednesday, our newest Parkhurst release. And I've seen some cards and can't wait for everybody to see those. I know Fleury's
So,
got a base card and some parallels, as does Saros. So get ready.
okay, I'll be ready. And I can't remember who made that recommendation.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Was
It
it
might,
Perch
might
or
have been Persh or Bernard. I can't remember, but
okay?
either way, it might have been Persh because he's saying those are nice.
Yeah,
Those are really
great
nice.
recommendation and great timing because one guy I told Matt listed a picture of the black, but listed it with the text as red.
Who did this? Like the list?
The seller, the person I bought both of these from, I think they
Yeah.
double listed the red, but took a picture of the
Oh,
black
yeah.
and they actually had the black.
Dang.
I was like, hey, is this just another red, or do you actually have the black?
There we go. Hey, dad approves. There we go.
Yep. And it just so happened I was able to pick them both up at the same time. So an out of 10 that you can just find like that looks that good.
That's awesome, man.
So fun.
Well, for me, my joy for the hobby is a lot of times tied to guys that are playing still. I want to be excited about certain players that are in the league. Like if there's a certain goalie that kind of comes out of nowhere who's playing for like the Penguins or the Ducks or the Kraken or like a team that I like, I'll probably go grab some cards because it kind of like, really ties you into that. And I know he hasn't had a great week overall, but there's something about, and I love, ever since I saw a certain highlight of Francisco Lindor, I've always liked the guy, but I liked him even more. I mean, everybody knows against the Phillies, he hit that grand slam. But for me, when he was like going around the bases, straight facing, like, yeah, job done. This is what I do. It really separated for him. It just separated him from a lot of guys. As much as I love Julio Rodriguez, he would be like pimping it. He would be talking to his dugout. That's who he is, and I love that. But there's part of me that likes yeah, all right, I just made just hit a home run. So be it. Like it's what I'm supposed to do. Mm-hmm. And I've really enjoyed the times that he, shows his passion on the field. He's supportive of his teammates. Seems to be an even-keeled guy, and he's really good. So I went out and grabbed a couple of case hits. I've sent you some pictures of them. One of them being the Prism. Oh gosh, what the heck are these called again? I love that they don't put the name on there because it's a full bleed. Profiles. So like the double picture, and then of course I'm not going to get any good light on this thing, but it's really, really pretty up close. And I will be posting it on the Essential Credentials page. Love the look of that. The Griffey is super cool, by the way, and very affordable. And then I've always wanted to get one of these of Julio, but they're too expensive. But I grabbed one of Lindor. The Let's Goes.
Those
great
are
job
cool.
on the photos, right? Because they're celebrating as they should. And what a cool design, man. All the funky lettering and stuff like that. That is a nice Topps Chrome. Like this design could go in 1999 and work perfectly. It gives me a very nice Fortune 15 vibe. So,
that's true. That's a really good, almost like late 90s Topps Chrome. And just like smart design of like literally every guy that hits a home run says, let's go.
Yeah.
Let's do it and let's get the picture.
I even did that the other day. Whenever I make I've made a couple of crazy saves the last couple of weeks, I get excited. I say let's go with maybe an extra word in there, so depending on how fired up I am.
But it's in there. Let's go. That's what happens when you do something cool in sports. Let's go.
Yeah, for sure. But I just love that. I love seeing athletes getting pumped up, especially with their teammates. And his card was way more affordable than Julio, which again doesn't make any sense because that dude needs to step it up. Don't care what anybody says. He needs to step it up. He's a great defender, but he needs to be hitting 280, 290 and driving in clutch runs. So hopefully that happens sooner than later.
I want to do 2 more.
All right, let's see them.
So one that you already know, but I was so stoked to get this one.
Woo, let's go.
Yeah, exactly. There we go. Let's go. And I was really stoked on this one because it's the gold version. It's like the gold foil version. So
golden goose egg, baby.
Golden goose egg. I only wanted this version, and it came up right after you told me about it, and I had to. I bid this one nuke bid just to get it.
Love it.
It is such a cool looking card. Like as to everything about it is just such a cool card.
I love that, man. I love that.
Great design idea too. Like the insert set, smart idea, fun design for it. Like it's kind of everything you want in a card because it references, in this case, a specific game.
Yep.
What more do you want? It's perfect.
I'm telling you, man. When that came out, when that set was named in the preview, and then they showed the digital mock-up, I knew Fleury was going to be in there because he had a shutout. And I'm like, I cannot wait for this card. So when we do our checks on the products, that's the most jazzed I've been for a product since I've worked there, whether it's the cup or anything, because I couldn't wait to see what those look like. And we didn't pull a golden goose egg. We pulled a regular one. So when that golden goose egg came up for sale on Instagram, dude, I was like, I couldn't believe it. Man.
I have to have this.
I'm glad that you grabbed that. That was definitely my number one for you, 100%.
And then here's a wild card that you don't know about.
Can we get a hint? Because personally, I might know this from the hint. Let's see.
So here's why it's a wild card. Back to baseball.
Oh, okay.
And it's 90s baseball, and it's not going to be a player you would suspect from me because I only have like 2 of his cards. But he falls into a lane. He's a Hall of Famer. Falls into a lane of players that I like. Let's say Tony Gwynn, Ichiro. Start thinking of that type
Greg Maddux?
No. So we're going hitter.
Okay.
Hall of Fame hitter, hit that big 3,000 number, kind of team leader type.
Paul Molitor. Yeah, let's go. I had a feeling. What a card, man! Those are massive cards, dude. What's up?
Yeah, and here's the thing: I've been looking for one of these for years of maybe some player, and this one came up on eBay. I was like, "Ooh, I'm gonna make an offer on this," and it got listed for 2 minutes after I saw it. And I was like, I'm going to make because it was or best offer. I was going to make an offer and it said 4 competing offers already. I was like, nope, I'm just going to buy it. Clearly it's underlisted. If people are trying to like underbuy a little bit, they're trying to send offers. I was like, I'm not doing this. So, I'm just going to buy the card.
So it was listed at auction with a buy it now priced or
no, it was listed as this price or best offer.
Oh, I see. Okay, I see.
And I was like, oh, that price, I don't know. You get ham ringy.
Mm-hmm.
You get hammering and you're like, I'm going to put in an offer. And I literally went in to put an offer and it had been listed for, I think, all of 4 minutes. And there was 4 competing offers already.
4? Good
so
for
4
you,
people
man.
had put in offers already. And I was like, I'm just buying it. Because somebody else right after me is going to go, well, I'll just pay the price.
Dude, you broke some hearts, but congratulations. That is really
I know. Nice. Sorry to the serious Paul Molitor collectors, but I am a fan. He was a team leader, 3,000 hits. I haven't had a copy of one of these embossed refractors before in person. So to have one of a Hall of Famer that played the way I like baseball, huge card for me. Well, and fits like right in the PC of, oh, you have 3 Paul Molitor cards. It's like, yeah, I have this amazing one. I have an amazing patch and I have an amazing autograph. That's all I need of Paul.
It's almost poetic that you grabbed a Paul Molitor because it's Father's Day. And often on Father's Day, we think of our dads, of course. But also our grandparents, right? And my grandfather was like a father to me for many years. And I'll never forget, we went to, it's probably my 3rd game I ever saw, 90s Mariners. We sat at the very top of the first row behind the plate, I want to say. We were watching the Twins, obviously, later in his career. And my grandpa said, that guy right there, that guy is going to be a Hall of Famer, and he's a great hitter. And I was like, he's not going to get a hit a day. He's probably going to get at least one, if not two. Well, Paul Molitor went 2 for 4 in that game, and I'll never forget my grandpa being like, "I told you so. That guy can hit."
Yeah.
And so that card's really cool to see because it reminds me of going to one of my first Mariner games with him and him telling me like, "Hey, don't forget that dude down there can hit." And my grandpa wasn't wrong. I mean, he did. He could rake, man.
He could rake. He got to 3,000 hits. He was a cool, like, great team leader, great vet for younger guys. Like, just an upstanding player.
For sure.
Yeah.
And that might be one of the better looking cards of all time. I mean, that might be top 5. It's like best looking parallel. Say what you want about PMGs. Those might be just as nice.
It's up there. So it's fun to have one. I love, and again, something we talked about earlier, but the design of the card, having the profile and the action shot, just everything about this card, outside of just the die cut and the foil, the design of the cards were just fantastic.
Can I ask some questions about it real quick? I wanted to confirm. So Paul himself, the action shot is embossed on the card.
Yep, this is embossed on the front. Yep. So it's
can you see the embossing on the back?
Yeah. So if you go to the back, you can actually see.
Okay. So it's imprinted.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like imprinted and raised on the back. And of course, they have the foil on the back, which is another nice touch.
That's so cool, dude. Now on the front, the text, his name call out, is that gold label like as far as it being like pressed on thickly on the card, like it's bumpy?
Yeah, but not to the degree that they did gold label.
Okay.
Not to that extent. It is like a layer above, right? Like it's put on the card.
Yeah.
It's a layer above, but not nearly as nice, I guess I would say, as label.
All right.
But it was like that was definitely the impetus for putting in the gold label idea.
Wow.
Right? Like this started it for sure.
That's amazing. Well, congrats, man. That's definitely one of the more desirable cards. That 97 Finest Gold Embossed Refractor. I mean, it's nice.
Sorry to any Paul Molitor collector out there that sees this, but I saw it. I think it was a middle of the day thing. Had to have it. Sorry.
A good deal, man. No, that's awesome. Well, great way to end the show. I'm really happy with where we're at with our goals. I think we're doing a pretty good job. Obviously, they've changed a little bit. I'm still trying to figure out, once Tyler Glasnow gets healthy, what I want to do with that collection. Probably keep a few. Once Duncan Robinson probably gets traded and ends up somewhere, I'll hopefully use that hype to kind of drive some sales and that stuff.
Yeah.
I'm down to 6 SGA cards from like 20. So I sold 15, or I think I sold 12 or 13 over the weekend. So I'm down to just a few. What am I at? 6 SGA cards. I mean, a couple of them are just cheaper cards, but
this is the time to do it. So
yeah, no, for sure.
Do it now.
For sure. So as far as Justin Jefferson goes, I know what I'm going to do with that. I'm going to keep the cards are case hit inserts. Or in general, I know I want to keep those, but then and get rid of most of like the SSP inserts and parallels and stuff. All that stuff can go for the most part.
Okay.
And then Star Wars, I think I'm ready to move on from Star Wars cards. So I need to figure out how to do that the best way. Probably Facebook groups and stuff like that to start, and then try to avoid eBay with that stuff. But again, my vision, I think my vision beyond this year is to have my collection on a website like the one that I have, but have it so you can see each different collection and each card has a story. Like you said, each card is special for a reason, and have everything scanned and stuff on there. So that'll be like a bigger goal, but I think if I can get it down to a more manageable number and then maybe send the rest off to COMC, I think I can do that. So
yeah, then it'll be less overwhelming to kind of get everything aligned the way you. Yeah,
for sure, dude. But yeah, I'm feeling good, man. And it was fun looking at the goals, and I'm looking forward to obviously getting to hang out with you. You're going to be here starting next weekend through the following weekend, right? That's going to be fun.
Yeah, so we'll be catching up in person.
Yeah, man.
Maybe, I guess, shoot some content. Maybe do something.
Yeah, I was thinking we could go to Burbank. I don't know if anybody in the chat's been to Burbank sports cars before, but I would love to go there and just dig through singles and stuff. I don't know if they have that. I know they buy a lot of cards too, which I'm sure they give like 60% value or some stupid thing.
If somebody has seen this or is in the comments and wants to reach out and let us know what that experience is like, or
please do
prep for that, because I know it's huge.
Yeah, there's definitely, I've got quite a few cards that I'd be tempted to bring there, and maybe you could do the same if we're gonna, it depends. Like if they're giving you 50% value, that's stupid. I can get more than that on my own, so can you. But if
Right.
they're giving you like 80% value,
Like,
fine by
maybe
me.
dump some stuff on them then.
Yeah,
Yeah, if
yeah,
folks know if they're paying like 80% comps or something.
yeah. If you know what it's like at Burbank, please let us know.
Mhm.
We would love to know what that experience could be like, because I would love to drive us up there and hit up a couple card shops while we're up in the Anaheim, uh, LA area. So hopefully things have calmed down a little bit by the time we get up there. We shall see. Anaheim will be fine, and we'll be in good
Yeah,
shape
yeah,
with that.
totally.
But all right, guys. Well, thanks again for tuning in. We really appreciate all the comments and just the involvement that y'all have, and everybody that made it here live. Again, happy Father's Day to everyone out there. I'm sure many fathers out there that are collectors, especially, are trying to get their families into collecting. If you need any advice, check out Luke, Red Legs Collector. He knows how to help you out in that department. So,
Yep.
Ben, any final closing thoughts before we wrap it up?
Yeah, I think it's been really valuable to check back in on our goals, not be too hard on ourselves, and realize like things kind of change and evolve every year we collect. As long as they're evolving in a way that keeps things fun and exciting, I think
For
we're
sure.
moving in the right direction. That's how I feel. Things changed, but I feel good about all the pivots I've made so
Good.
far. So
Good deal, man. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how we do going forward. I think it makes it exciting to kind of know that you have, like a kind of not laser focus, but like you have an idea of not straying too far, knowing exactly what you're going to try to do, and setting your focus, laser vision on that. It makes
mhm,
it feel like you're accomplishing something while also having a lot of fun. So, hey,
that's
didn't
the
know you
goal.
were here, Michael. What's up, man? Sticks and Seams. If you don't follow him on YouTube, please go do so. He is a super
Mhm.
nice guy. Griffey content, 90s content, modern content, vintage content. Just one of the better guys in the hobby for sure. And we'd love to have you on here at some point too, man. So let us know if you'd like
Yeah,
to do
totally.
that. But Persh, I got a question for you before we log off. Are you going to be opening some Parkers? I'd love to know if you're going to do that, because I'd love to tune in and see, as would Ben. I'm sure now that he's got some interest in hockey.
100%.
Thank you, Corey, for that. Again, if you're not following us, Corey, you're probably following Ben, but if you're not following us, either Joy the Hobby or myself, please do so. We'd love to follow you back. And then, of course, Luke, you're very welcome. Always have a great time when you're here, and obviously when you're on the show. That was awesome. A little preview for people. Bernard, who is usually in the comment section, you see him SC Cards 19, I think, for Eiserman.
Mhm.
We're going to try to get him in here in a couple weeks and go over a version of like your top want list, but it's going to be called something completely different that I've never heard it referred to as. And so get ready for that. That's going to be fun in 2 weeks. Next weekend, I know my dad's going to be here, but we're going to try really hard to get an Essential Credentials episode done within that. So stand by for
Oh,
that.
nice.
But okay, good to know you're following. And then great. Best of luck to you, Persh. If you pull any Saros or Flurry, we're your guys. But
Yep.
good luck. I
I'm
hope
here
you
for
get
it.
a super sweet Crosby out of there, man. All right, Ben. I will see you next weekend, and obviously after that. And
Yep.
look forward to 2 weeks from now. It's gonna be fun.
Oh, yeah. A blast.